Blessed be, guys and ghouls. In the past, you've heard me talk about being... Yes, Miss Cleo? Do you need something? Cat butt, ladies and gentlemen. In the past, you've heard me talk about being inclusive and approachable to other goths and the community at large. How we should guide rather than shun baby bats who have lost their way. But what happens when that person turns out to really be a poser with zero sense of self-identity? Quick disclaimer here. A lot of you guys know exactly who I'm talking about, and I'm going to ask that you keep it to yourself. I am thrilled that I no longer have this person in my life, and I want to keep it that way. All right, onward. Pull up a chair and let me spin you a web. It was 2003. I was young. I was a freshman in high school with pink hair and Chuck Taylors. I reconnected with old friends, made some new friends, and over the course of the year caught the eye of a few boys. One boy in particular, the brother of a friend, immediately caught my eye. Instantly there was a connection. Maybe it was his tattered Slipknot t-shirt or the fact that he was a particular shade of pale that can only be achieved by direct aversion to sunlight. But I thought to myself, finally, someone that I have something in common with. By the end of freshman year, I was feeling pretty drawn to him. An awesome summer came and went. I may go into that story some other time. And by the start of sophomore year, I was keeping a watchful eye out for that gawky metalhead that I had met the year before. He wasn't there. After some careful questioning of his sister, I learned that he had been transferred to the continuation school down the hill. My friend and her brother had a really bad relationship, to say the least, so I decided not to question her further. I caught the eye of some other boys, but most of them I didn't really feel a connection with. Some I didn't mesh with their personalities. Some I had nothing in common with. And some I really valued more as friends rather than romantically. One day I had an epiphany. I bought a disposable camera, enlisted the help of a friend, and had a photo shoot at my house. I achieved then what people are able to achieve today because of Instagram. I took cute, staged pictures of myself. Keep in mind, this is back in the day before Facebook, before every kid had a cell phone, back when MySpace was at its infancy. So I did what people did back in the day before IMing and texting. I wrote him a letter. I included the photos, put them in an envelope, and gave them to a friend I had who also attended the continuation school. And I waited. A few days later, I received a note back. It was poorly written and brief, but after a few more exchanges of notes, we were finally able to meet outside of school, and shortly after that, we started dating. At first, things weren't that bad. We would play video games, talk about metal, and gradually got to know each other more and more. But the more I got to know him, the more I realized I didn't. And what was more important was I quickly realized that he didn't either. He started shunning metal music and started listening to country. He shunned his Slipknot sweater and started wearing work shirts. And from working outside, he quickly lost his pale pallor. At least he kept the steel-toed boots. Don't get me wrong, change and growth is a good thing. Cat hair. Although these changes seemed pretty dramatic, it's totally normal for people to change and grow as they move from adolescence to adulthood. Righteous. However, the problem here was that these changes weren't instigated by an expansion of tastes, but rather because of the approval of others. When most people accrue new tastes, they don't just drop the old tastes they used to have. That was when I realized, guys and ghouls, that your girl was dating a poser. I still had hope that this was just a transitional period of his life, a time when he was trying to find himself and figure out who he was, and I was going to be there and stick it out to see how the pieces fell. After all, I really cared about him and wanted him to be happy, no matter what his interests were. But it wasn't enough that he wanted to change himself in order to appease people that he saw as his superiors. He wanted me to change too. It started off small enough. He started showing absolute disdain for the music I liked. Never mind that he was listening to the same music the year before. One of my guy friends decided that he wanted to try to rock eyeliner at school, and when I talked about how much I admired and was proud of him, my boyfriend at the time decided to call him I don't even use that word to bleep out. I would be totally stoked to see the next gore-filled horror fest, and he would say that it was a waste of time. I wanted to get my septum pierced for my 18th birthday, and he told me that if I did that, he was going to dump me. Guess what your girl got for her 19th birthday? He started talking smack about my friends, about their interests and the way they dressed. These were people that I would swap clothes with, share interests, and that I genuinely cared about deeply. He started refusing to spend any time with them, even if they were friends that we once shared. Then he started setting his sights on my lifestyle. If we were going out to meet his family, he wanted me to tone down the way I dressed. In addition to calling my eclectic taste in music stupid, he started picking at all of the dark inclined interests in my life. Boop. He started saying that my creative inclinations were childish and that I didn't know the value of $1. He started using phrases like, "when you grow out of this goth thing," or telling me that I should dress like an adult. It was about this time that I started reaching out to the goth community at large for support. I'll leave a link to my exchange with Gothic Charm School down below. I'm very fortunate. I've always had a very strong sense of self. Some people would have diminished and given in to the abuse and oppression. I just got annoyed. I started spending less and less time with him, and thankfully, he showed zero interest in trying to spend time with me. After not seeing his face for a month, I was struck with how free and happy I felt. I never realized how powerfully his oppression was sitting on my shoulders until that weight was finally lifted. Finally, I called him and set up a face-to-face meeting so I could tell him we were done. He said he was relieved. He was tired of spending the gas money to see me. Real classy. It was the easiest and best decision I ever made. Now, residual drama aside, I wanted to touch on a few of the points that I learned through this experience. I want to clarify specifically what made this person a poser and not just someone going through a lifestyle transition. Point 1. All of his changes were instigated from without, not from within. He molded himself to try to suit the approval of others rather than because of genuine change of interests and growth. Point 2. As he gained new interests, he started treating his old interests with disregard and disdain. Point 3. He constantly tried to project his own lack of self-identity onto other people. Because he had zero self-identity, He wanted to belittle the identity of others. The term poser is thrown around quite a lot, especially with the younger demographic, but it actually means something very specific. Sometimes it's just a person trying to expand their interests. Other times that person is a psychic vampire who needs to be booted out of your life. Hopefully, my tale will help you see the difference. Thank you so much for listening to this rant. I hope that everyone will do the right thing and not judge those who are new to the scene, kick posers to the curb, and always be true to yourself. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell, and leave a comment down below with your own experience with posers. Have you been called a poser yourself? Have you called someone a poser in the past and it turned out not to be true? Please share with the community at large so we can all kind of grow and learn from each other's experiences. Stay spooky.